our lead this hour coming from the Rams house. Whose house? Rams house. They kept repeating that. A lot of Kelly Green. I was actually at this game. A lot of Kelly Green in the building there. I spent my Sunday schmoozing. A little bit of schmoozing there. In the hood in Inglewood, watching random NFL games on my computer while also focusing on the Rams and the Eagles. Now, if you did not see this game by chance, maybe you're watching the Vikings and the Chiefs or the Broncos game against the Jets or the Bengals or the Cardinals. Those are the other games going on. But I was able to watch all at the same time. It's amazing. So Jalen Hurts, combining, if you combine the rushing and the passing, 375 yards, a pair of touchdowns, one on the ground, one through the air. Philadelphia absolutely dominated the second half, held the Rams to less than 90 yards, and they get a 9-point win. All the Rams had to do was score one touchdown in the second half. They would have ended up easily covering the point spread, but they chose not to do that. Bad job by them. So the Eagles improved to 5-0. I'm told that is good if you're 5-0. The Rams dropped to 2-3, which I'm told is not that good. That's mediocre. It's mediocre. But there's a lot of noise around the Philadelphia football team, and the word is, and we're hearing this rather loudly, the drum beat is growing. We must get rid of the tushy-pushy. There is a bullseye on the tush-push. That's right. Adam Schefter, purveyor of NFL smut, tells us that it is officially, essentially on the endangered list. There has been a groundswell of support recently to revisit the tush-push in the offseason and to make it verboten, to get rid of the tush-push. So let us discuss the question, should the NFL outlaw what they like to call now the brotherly shove? Should they get rid of it? And I am shaking my head, no. No, keep the tush-push. So I've got Leonardo da Vinci, King Cobra, and Scratch and Sniff. And we will combine these things together, and we are going to make a penalty box, which is what the Eagles will be in if they cannot run the tush-push. They'll be
had his hand on my ass, and he wouldn't let me go.
Yeah. All right, so first of all, I like the more generic term. It's perfect for any team, the tush-push. I do not like that the NFL is trying to dumb it down with a brotherly shove because the play is run in multiple locations. The Dallas Cowboys ran the tush-push. I've seen a bunch of teams try to run it. Some are more successful than others. But it's the tush-push. It's not the brotherly shove. It's not. And I was actually excited to be out. I'm not, obviously, I'm a Rams fan. I'm not an Eagles fan. But I was excited. I've talked about this play so much. And to see it in person, and my takeaways from watching it with my own eyes and not off some screen somewhere, it was stunning how amazeballs it is for the Philadelphia football team to run the tush-push and how effective they are. It is a tour de force, if you will. Jason Kelsey, the center, is a human bull. He's like an animal getting underneath the defense. And this was a real test going against Aaron Donald, one of the premier players of his generation, and the LA Rams in the middle there. And then you combine Jalen Hurts, and you've got guys shoving on both his ass cheeks, thus the tush-push, and perfect harmony, just absolute perfect harmony. It belongs in the Louvre in Paris, right? It's like Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa, the way the Eagles are able to run this thing. And how dominant it is. And like anytime you get into a 3rd down and 1 or a 4th down and 1, boom, you're going to get it. It is a masterpiece. Now, they had a graphic on the Fox broadcast that showed the Eagles, this play works 92.5% of the time. I've never seen it not work. I don't recall it not working. But they say it's 92.5% of the time, which is also like a radio station that plays music if you want on the FM dial. 92.5. And the rest of the league is at 81%, but which is still really good. Like 81%. If you have a play that works 81% of the time, that's a really good play. That's like a really sexy play. Like that's a great play, 81% of the time. But the Eagles are over 90% with the tushy-pushy, Is it a rugby-style play? Yes. Is it aesthetically pleasing? Not in the least. Not in the least. But I look at it like and I actually text one of my bosses on the TV show who's a big Eagles fan. I was texting him during the game. I was like, hey, to see this thing in person is crazy. It's like the sky hook. And he pointed out to me, he said, yeah, they didn't try to make the sky hook illegal because Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was unstoppable. Nobody could defend the sky hook when he had that. And it's a fair point. The difference is, like, Kareem was the only one that could run it that well. Nobody else. The other people tried the sky hook, but it didn't work as well. In theory, this could be every team in the NFL if they just get their quarterback into the weight room squatting like Jalen Hurts does and get a good offensive line. You should have it work every single time. All right, moving away from that, we go to Pittsburgh, PA. And what a terrible performance by the Baltimore football team. But bad day in Baltimore sports. The Orioles are down 0-2 after winning 100-plus games, and now they're on the brink of elimination, getting ready for their last supper. And the Ravens somehow lost to that putrid Pittsburgh Steelers offense. And it triggered Mark Andrews. You see this? Mark Andrews, the tight end in Baltimore, criticized his team's performance, losing 17-10, blowing the lead late there to the Steelers. He said, quote, "It's almost like a sleeping giant, man." Andrews told reporters, "We need to wake up. We need to wake up," is what he said. So let's parse the words here. What's Mark Andrews really saying about the Ravens when he says we need to wake up? So I will psychoanalyze, from my years of experience behind microphones here at Fox Sports Radio, I'll psychoanalyze the words of Mark Andrews. So here's the way I interpret it. Mark Andrews is saying they are the same team they have been in recent years, that nothing has changed. Yeah, they added Odell Beckham and a couple of other players you've heard of, but it's the same old Ravens. That Baltimore's a lightweight, and they've been a lightweight. They continue to be a lightweight. In layman's terms, the poets talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk. The Baltimore Ravens of 2023 are the king cobra with no venom. What point is it to have a king cobra with no venom? That is the Ravens. They play down to their competition, or they play at the same level of the weaker teams. What is my evidence? The Ravens lost to Gardner Minshew. I'm a Gardner Minshew fan, but the Colts are a mediocre team, and you lost to the Colts in your own stadium a couple weeks ago. Now you've lost to Pittsburgh. Mike Tomlin just called his team essentially gutless, soft cowards last week, and now I guess they got their mojo back, the Steelers, to quote Mike Tomlin, because they won the game. But Lamar Jackson, for all the highlight reel plays, he rarely makes game-winning plays late in games. This was another opportunity for Lamar Jackson to make plays. The Ravens, their center prematurely snapped. They missed points. I think that was in the first half. They missed an opportunity to get some points, at least a field goal. That was a debacle. And it continues to be an underlying condition. There's an underlying condition. Baltimore is a middleweight contender. They're not a heavyweight contender, the Ravens. And John Harbaugh's like, the guy you like. Harbaugh's teams are usually pretty competitive, and the Ravens are competitive, but you're seeing the same tendencies that you've seen in recent years, and now we're getting into the second month of the season, and nothing has changed. All right, final thought. Let's go to London. Now, we've had a lot of Bills Mafia call this show recently. Conveniently, none of them have called today. I'm sure that's just an odd quirk. None of the Bills Mafia guys have called up. But pigskin and eggs for breakfast. Pigskin and eggs for breakfast. The Bills visiting the UK for a date with Destiny, otherwise known as the Jags. And Travis Etienne had 136 yards and 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns. Jacksonville taking down Buffalo 25-20 at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, whatever they call it there in London. So the Bills, 3-2, and Jacksonville 3-2, but Jacksonville now has the tiebreaker head-to-head. The Bills had absolutely disemboweled the last 3 opponents they had played, and they looked uninterested. They looked like, and I actually was up watching the second half of this game, and Buffalo did not look particularly, they were engaged. I don't know if they had something else to do. Maybe they had to go eat something at Buckingham Palace or something. They had a tea party. I don't know, but they did not look good at all from what I was watching there, and methinks there's something going on here. So were the Bills exposed? They rushed for only 29 yards and had all kinds of players go down with injuries. So were the Bills exposed in this jolly old game in London? And so the arrow is pointing to yes. And was this a little too much celebration? Did they celebrate a bit too much after they won their Week 4 Super Bowl? Which is kind of funny because one of the big Bills fans, Andy, the comic book guy that calls the show, he was like mocking the Dolphins for celebrating their Week 3 Super Bowl. And then the Bills are like, well, no, we're going to celebrate our Week 4 Super Bowl is what we're going to do. But it's the old scratch and sniff problem, right? You get caught sniffing yourself after you win a big game and that championship over the Dolphins. Normally when you win a Super Bowl, you don't have to go to London the next week. You're off. You can do whatever you want, but they had to go to London. And the Jags should have won by more. They should have won more. They were 4.5, 5.5 point underdogs. But they dominated this game. Jacksonville put up 474 yards of offense, 29 first downs. They held the ball for 38 of the 60 minutes, over 38 of the 60 minutes. That is a domination situation. And it was only a couple of strip sacks against Trevor Lawrence that kept this game within the margins, kept Buffalo within striking distance late in the game. So Lawrence had a couple of boo-boos. But the Bills' defense just went kaplooey in this game. They went absolutely, that's the word, kaplooey is what happened to them. And you have multiple starters now injured again. The war of attrition for Buffalo, and now they've got the built-in excuse. If only we were healthy. Is anyone healthy? No one's healthy. It's the NFL.